Okay, picture this for a second. You're a diver. You've done
Yeah.
the Caribbean. You've seen the pretty coral gardens. You've found Nemo.
Right. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's lovely. But now you want something else. You want that very specific feeling that experienced divers always talk about.
The prickle on the back of the neck.
Exactly. You're hovering right over a drop-off where the reef just vanishes into this endless blue abyss, and you get that feeling. You know you aren't alone. You're basically looking for the perfect storm for an adrenaline junkie.
That blue water feeling. It is, it's completely primal, isn't it?
It really is, and usually, let's be honest, that feeling is just paranoia. But today we are unpacking a stack of documents that suggests, well, in the Egyptian Red Sea at least, that feeling is totally statistically justified.
Oh, absolutely.
We aren't going for the resort beaches today. We are looking at what is essentially a predator superhighway.
It's a vivid image, but it really is an accurate one. I mean, the Egyptian Red Sea has a reputation that just borders on legendary in the diving world. It's not just about the colorful coral structures, It is about the sheer biomass, specifically the apex predators. So we aren't just telling ghost stories today. We're doing a deep dive into the Red Sea Sharks Discovery Project.
Exactly, and we've got our hands on a stack of documents that, frankly, feels like we shouldn't even have. It's that detailed. We were looking at the 2025 data logs compiled by Michael Waffa.
Right, Michael Waffa is just a crucial figure here. He's a shark conservation instructor, a guide who has spent years in these waters. So the documents we're looking at, they aren't glossy tourist brochures.
No, not at all.
They're raw field logs. We've got the comprehensive shark guide update from October 2025, plus these highly specific tracking logs. There's the Manta Ray Project, the Oceanic Whitetip Project, and the Tiger Shark Project.
And our mission for this deep dive is pretty simple. We want to move past the whole movie monster myth.
Yeah.
We want to look at the hard numbers. Where actually are these animals? Which ones are critically endangered? And this is the part I'm really excited about. If you do run into a 3-meter tiger shark, what are the specific rules of engagement to make sure you come back with a cool story and, all your limbs?
It's about replacing fear with understanding. That's Wafa's entire mission statement. And the data helps us do exactly that because it removes the unpredictability.
Right.
When you really look at these logs, you stop seeing monsters and you start seeing patterns.
Well, let's get into those patterns. Wafa's guide has this incredible breakdown, and he calls it the shark probability map. It basically tells you your odds of a predator encounter based on exactly where you park your boat. It's like a heat map for adrenaline.
It really is. And the numbers are striking. For anyone planning a trip, this is basically your key takeaway right here. Not all Red Sea water is created equal.
No.
Wafa categorizes the sea into regions based on probability. So at the very top, you have what divers call the Golden Triangle, or the BDE sites. Right, which stands for Brothers Islands, Daedalus Reef, and Elphinstone Reef.
Okay, so the BDE, what are the actual odds there? If I go there, what are my chances?
According to this 2025 guide, 90%.
90%. I mean, that is practically a guarantee. Usually in the wild, you're lucky to see a tailfin swimming away in the distance.
It is as close as you can possibly get to a sure thing in the wild. If you go to the BDE sites, you are almost certainly going to see sharks because these sites are offshore pinnacles.
Okay.
They sit way out in deep water with incredibly strong currents, and that just attracts the entire food chain from the bottom up. Now, compare that to the Deep South region.
Like where?
Places like Rocky Island, St. John's, and Zubergad. Those sit at around a 60% probability.
Which is still high.
Still very high, but not a sure thing like the BDE.
And then you have the places that literally everyone knows, like Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada up in the north.
Right. And there, the probability drops significantly. You are looking at 30 to 40%. So if you're an adrenaline junkie, booking a standard hotel in Hurghada might actually leave you really disappointed if your main goal is apex predators. You need to be on a live aboard boat heading straight to the Golden Triangle.
Okay, so let's zoom in on that 90% zone. The BDE, the guide actually calls this the menu, which I love. If I drop into the water at the Brothers Islands, what exactly am I ordering off this menu?
Well, the Brothers are actually two separate islands, Big Brother and Small Brother. And the guide is very specific about the difference between them, which I find fascinating because they are practically right next to each other.
Right.
At Big Brother, the Thresher shark, the elusive, is listed as common.
The Thresher, that's the one with the tail that looks like a giant whip, right?
Exactly. The upper lobe of the tail is literally as long as the entire rest of its body.
That's wild.
It really is. They use it like a whip to stun schooling fish. It's just an incredible evolutionary adaptation. Now, they're usually very deep, very shy sharks, but Big Brother is the place to see them, specifically at the cleaning stations where smaller fish pick parasites off them.
So that's Big Brother. Now, if you move just a short distance over to Small Brother, does the menu actually change?
It completely changes. There, the dominant species shifts. The gray reef Shark-Carcharinus amblyrhynchos is the hotspot there.
Just one island over.
Just one island over.
Okay.
These are your classic reef patrols. They pack hunt. They are highly territorial. So even within the same Golden Triangle, the neighborhood changes block by block.
It's crazy that they segregate themselves like that. What about Daedalus then? Because that's the reef that's kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Daedalus is famous for one very specific thing, the Scalloped Hammerhead or Sphyrnolewini. The guide lists them as common there.
Yeah.
And we aren't just talking about one or two. You often see them in large schools.
Like walls of them.
Literally walls of 20 or 30 animals. But here is where the data gets super nuanced. If you go to Elphinstone, which is the E in the BDE, the hammerheads are listed as rare.
Really? Because I always thought Elphinstone was like Shark Central.
It is Shark Central, but for a totally different landlord. Elphinstone is the absolute domain of the Oceanic Whitetip, the Carcharinus longimanus.
Ah, the Oceanic Whitetip.
Yes. The guide lists the Oceanic Whitetip as common at Elphinstone. So you see, just saying you're going to see sharks isn't enough. You have to match your destination to the exact species.
Before we go deeper into the sharks, because I really, really want to talk about the Oceanic Whitetip, I want to pull out one specific file that caught my eye in the stack. It's the Manta Project Daedalus Reef 2025 log. Because apparently Daedalus isn't just about walls of hammerheads.
No, it's not. And this is a perfect example of why specific field data is so valuable. In 2025, Wafa and his team identified 13 distinct manta rays at Daedalus. They even gave them individual IDs, D1 through D13.
I love that they have designations. Who is D1?
D1 is a male, and he was sighted back in April 2025. And D4, interestingly, is a female sighted later in July.
So there's a mix of males and females.
We have a mix, yes. And the sightings span from April all the way through to October. That data tells us that Daedalus is a critical habitat for these massive rays.
Right, they're not just passing through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They are likely there to feed on the huge plankton blooms caused by those offshore currents, or they're using it for cleaning stations.
It paints a picture of this reef as just a bustling underwater metropolis. You've got hammerheads patrolling in the deep, these giant mantas swooping through the shallows. It's a busy place.
And that level of diversity is the prime indicator of a healthy ecosystem. But let's pivot back to the heavy hitters. You brought up the Oceanic Whitetip.
Yes, the longimanus. You mentioned they run the show at Elphinstone. Now, I have heard stories about this specific shark. In the diving world, they have a serious reputation.
They do. And it's a reputation born entirely of biological necessity. The Oceanic Whitetip is a pelagic shark. That means they live out in the open ocean, the deep blue.
Which is basically a desert, right? Biologically speaking.
That's exactly what it is, a nutritional desert. A standard reef shark can afford to be a bit shy because there are plenty of fish hiding in the coral right in front of it. But an Oceanic Whitetip, it might not see a potential meal for days or even weeks.
Wow.
So evolution has wired them to be incredibly bold, very inquisitive. They conserve energy by moving slowly with those massive airplane-like pectoral fins, but they will investigate absolutely everything in the water column because they simply don't know when their next meal is coming.
And the Oceanic Whitetip Red Sea Project 2025 file is fascinating because it puts actual numbers to that reputation. What did the tracking data show for this year?
The volume is really significant. In 2025 alone, they identified 29 distinct individuals. They labeled them Oceanic 1 through Oceanic 29. But what's really compelling is the seasonality of it all.
Like when they are actually showing up.
Yes. There is a massive spike in sightings during late autumn. The logs show sightings just piling up in September, October, November, and December 2025. If you look at the IDs, almost all of them were spotted in those specific months.
And where specifically? Is it just at Elphinstone?
Elphinstone is definitely a major player, but the data actually shows Brothers Islands as the overwhelming hotspot for distinct individuals this year.
Really?
Yeah, Oceanic 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they were all logged at Brothers. Daedalus sees them too, like Oceanic 2 was there, but Brothers seems to be the central hub in the 2025 data.
Now, there is a detail in this log that honestly stopped me in my tracks when I was reading it. It's a little heartbreaking. It's under the notes section for a couple of these specific sharks.
I know exactly what you're talking about. The entries for Oceanic 3 and Oceanic 23.
Tell the listener what was written next to those names.
Just 2 words. Fishing hook.
Fishing hook?
Yes. Oceanic 3 was sighted in November 2025 at Daedalus, and Oceanic 23 was sighted that exact same month over at Elphinstone. Both of these beautiful animals were logged as trailing fishing gear.
That really drives home the reality here. We are out there swimming with them and marveling at them, but we are also actively hurting them. It kind of shatters the illusion that these offshore reefs are pristine, untouched sanctuaries.
It does, and it connects directly to the conservation status that Wafan mentions in the main guide. The Oceanic Whitetip is listed by the IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, as critically endangered.
Critically endangered. People hear these terms all the time, but that is serious.
It's the highest risk category. It is literally one step away from being extinct in the wild. So seeing those hooks in the 2025 log, it's a visceral reminder of exactly why that classification exists. These animals are roaming vast oceanic distances. They're crossing into commercial shipping lanes and active fishing zones. They're interacting with human fisheries constantly, and they are losing.
It is a really sobering reality check. But speaking of changing patterns and human interaction, let's talk about the true wild card of the Red Sea, the tiger shark.
Cuvier,
The tiger.
the ultimate generalist predator.
The tiger. Now, usually when I think of Red Sea tigers, I think of deep offshore islands. But the Tiger Shark Project 2025 file paints a very different picture when you compare it to the 2024 data.
It's a highly distinct shift. If you look at the 2024 summary that was included in the source stack, the sightings were exactly where you'd expect them to be. Brothers, Rocky Island, Habiligadir, and Daedalus.
Well,
Deepwater, strong currents, offshore, exactly.
but then we look at 2025.
Right. In 2025, the list expands, and it expands in a direction that might make casual beach swimmers a little nervous. The logs suddenly include coastal areas.
Coastal areas? Like
Yeah.
where?
We're talking about Abu Dabab Bay, specifically the Coral Garden and Site 6, Samadai Reef, and even way up north at Gordon Reef in Tiran Island, which is right near Sharm el-Sheikh.
Abu Dabab is a very popular tourist spot. People go there with their snorkels to see turtles and dugongs. It's shallow, it's sandy. It is absolutely not where you expect a 3-meter tiger shark to show up.
And yet, the sightings are documented and confirmed. And this is actually where the collaborative nature of this science really shines through. These weren't just spooky rumors from tourists.
Right, there's proof.
The report explicitly credits specific photographers who provided the visual evidence. Shihab Eldon provided photos from Abu Dabab. Oscar's Hunt provided photos from Gordon Reef. This is the power of citizen science at work.
So the tigers are definitively moving into the shallows.
Or at the very least, they are being seen there much more frequently. It is a highly significant data point for 2025.
Just for context on this, where does the tiger shark sit on that IUCN list we mentioned? Are they in as much trouble as the Oceanic Whitetip?
Not quite, but they certainly aren't safe. The guide notes the tiger shark is currently near threatened, so they are better off than the Scalloped Hammerhead, which is critically endangered, or the Thresher, which is vulnerable.
Got it.
But they are still a species of high concern.
Okay, so we have established that the Red Sea is completely full of sharks. We know the Golden Triangle is the place to be, and we know the tigers are apparently crashing the beach parties at Abu Dabab. The big question now is, how do we survive this?
The rules of engagement.
Exactly. Michael Wafa's guide has a section literally titled, The Rules of Diving with Sharks. And he notes that these are specifically for the bold species, the Oceanic Whitetip, the Silky, and the tiger.
This is arguably the most practical part of this entire deep dive. If you are in the water and one of these apex animals approaches you, Wafa lists 6 non-negotiable rules. And frankly, they go completely against all your human instincts.
Let's run through them. Let's role play this a bit. I am diving at Elphinstone. I look out into the blue and I see an Oceanic Whitetip coming straight at me. Rule number 1.
Stay calm.
Okay, much easier said than done when a critically endangered predator is looking at you like a snack.
Very true. But panic is what triggers their predatory instincts. Thrashing around, rapid breathing, flailing your arms to a shark, that looks exactly like dying prey.
You're acting like food.
You are literally ringing the dinner bell. You have to actively override that panic instinct.
Okay, so I am calm. Or at least I'm pretending to be very calm. Rule number 2. This one actually surprised me. Body vertical position.
This is crucial, and it's so often overlooked by novice divers. Think about how you usually swim in the water.
Horizontal, flat.
Flat like a fish or a seal. That is a standard prey profile.
So I need to stand up in the water.
Exactly. Drop your fins down, keep your head up, become perfectly vertical. You immediately look larger, taller, and completely unlike anything they usually eat.
That is fascinating.
You become a strange vertical object rather than a horizontal target. It signals to them that you are not on the menu.
It makes so much sense. You are essentially engaging in psychological warfare with a shark.
Precisely. Which leads right into rule number 3, which reinforces that dominance. Keep eye contact.
Do not look away.
Never. Sharks are ambush predators to some degree, or at least highly opportunistic. They prefer to approach from a blind spot. If you lock eyes with them and physically turn as they circle you, you are telling them, I see you. I am aware of you. You have no advantage here.
It totally breaks their stealth mode.
It completely ruins their approach strategy.
Okay, rule number 4.
Stay as one group.
Don't be the straggler.
Exactly. Predators naturally pick off the isolated individual. A tight, cohesive group of divers blowing bubbles looks like one massive, confusing organism. It is infinitely safer.
Makes sense. Rule number 5 is control your buoyancy.
This goes right back to staying calm. If you are popping up to the surface randomly or crashing heavily into the reef, you're creating erratic vibrations and noise in the water column.
You look like you're struggling.
You look out of control. You look vulnerable. And predators always target the struggling animal.
And finally, rule number 6. Keep a safe distance.
Look, but don't touch. It seems so obvious, but people get comfortable. They want the perfect selfie. WAFA's golden rule at the bottom of the page sums it up perfectly. Respect and don't stress the sharks.
It is funny because we started this conversation looking for adrenaline, but the data and the rules really bring you right back to respect. These aren't just mindless monsters. They are animals operating on very specific, predictable logic.
That is the absolute core message of the source material. The Red Sea is a sanctuary. When we look at this 2025 data, the 29 oceanic whitetips, the sudden expansion of the tiger sharks, the 13 mantis tracked at Daedalus, we are looking at a functioning, magnificent ecosystem.
But it's fragile.
It is so fragile.
The fishing hooks on Oceanic 3 and 23 prove that.
They absolutely do. The data proves that these critically endangered populations are here, they are viable, but they are literally carrying the scars of human interaction every single day.
It really echoes Michael Wafa's philosophy that was mentioned in the intro of his guide. He says his mission is to replace fear with understanding and indifference with action. This data isn't just a catalog of cool things to see on vacation. It's a report card on exactly how we are coexisting with them.
And honestly, indifference is the greatest enemy here. If we just see them as thrill-ride attractions, we completely miss the fact that they are fighting a daily struggle to survive.
So next time you are planning a dive trip and you are looking at that 90% probability on the BDE map, remember what you are actually signing up for. You are entering their house.
And you should follow their rules.
Before we wrap up this deep dive, there is one last thing I want to leave you with, a question that just kept nagging me as I looked at that tiger shark map.
The coastal expansion data.
Exactly. We are seeing tiger sharks actively moving into shallower coastal bays like Abu Dabab and Gordon Reef in 2025. The experts are tracking it. The citizen photographers are snapping pictures of it.
Yeah.
But why?
That is the deeply provocative question, isn't it?
Right.
Is this a sign of population recovery?
Yeah.
Are the numbers growing so much that they naturally need to expand their territory?
Right.
Or are they being forced closer to shore because the deep ocean is being overfished and emptied out? Are they coming to the beach because they are thriving or because they are starving?
Something for you to think about before your next swim. Thanks for exploring the deep dive with us.
Dive safe.